Shubor nakaslem jong unong Saiñ Hima.
Kertong shimet uban airang haga election MP siapo kaying dorbar tawaan ke Lok Sabha ulaong. Ba udon ke jingkermen ba unjob haga ni ke election namar ki babon ki pajba ki kwa ban yoi ki jingkela ki babha. Bat kumu kertong ubami khmat ne ka benta ka sur jong ki kon samla ka jilla. Ukermen scam bala ki pajba ki jit bat ki penjob yu unla ban le ya ka ei ka ba utmu ban le na ka benta jong ki. Haba keren skilat pathai kubon mentaka sengi ka arpu Hynrei ula bayar arajar arpu saw hadin ka jingwan thep kerteng jong u kumu kertong shimet haka office kam deputy commissioner ka East Khasi Hills uba Lakhon ula ong baka thong bat ka jingtumu jong u kalong ba un thau yikilat ai kam ai jam yiki samla ka jilla ki badon yiki sap ki phong haki liang ba pher uba kama ula ong ba kwa ban kedokti yano ki nomi khmat Hakabe bat kajing pendon kam jong ki ya ka pisa ka tingka jong pat ba Hynrei kumunong hikai ka benta jong u kadai ban pen I de ka wai pat ka lenti bat da ka wai ka jingmut jing perkhat namar kam don jingmut ye u ba unsu hiar sapo madan ban ya khon ye ka election ban long kum ki wai pat ki nomi khmat bat la da ukwa ban long lang kum ki wai ki nomi khmat kata ulalai ban penya so bat ki wai pat ki seng lani ula ai ka jing kershan ya ki wei pat ki kertong ki baya khun ya ki election MP. Ula ong haba phai khmat menta shi ki no ginong mi khmat ke jilla I satya ya unong mi khmat uba biang kumta uda thrang bat angno chikat dei e aba unlong uta kertong uba ki khon samla kin phai khmat. Shishu uba kama ula ong baka kam san Pyrthei kam dei ka kam ka ban shuale Shongshit tang namar ka jing so tanat jong ki Jingrwai ni ki jing shat ni ki jing penlong ni ki jing khawai sngo bha. Hynrei hau kumbalong ka pule puthi ka san Pyrthei ka dei ka kam ka badon kam tam.
I won't say I'm overconfident, but certainly I'm confident because I do see that people want change, and they don't want just change because we always say change, but sometimes change can be for the worst. I think we want change for the good, and I'm sure because I have always said this. I represent the true voice of the youth of Meghalaya, and I'm sure if I get their support, there's no doubt that I will be able to sail through. And of course, I will be able to do what I need to do for them because after all, it pains me because, I have my young daughters and also a son whom I'm thinking where will they get job, let's say 5-10 years down the line. I'm sure the same kind of concern is there with the parents. And every parent must be thinking that when I'm sending my kids to school, colleges or university, after they pass out, where will be the job? My priority will be that I find out ways and means how to create job in this state and how to increase the realm of the capability so that the looking for job should be a multi-dimensional process. It cannot be one way, so you have to really look for avenues wherever you can get jobs. And I do see that in the current dispensation and also among the leadership that we have, this seems to be very single tracked, that they see only one line. I'm looking at things in a multiple of ways. Like I said in many interviews, Hindi language, say for example, it can be a way to earn your livelihood. Say if you are good in Hindi, you are a good-looking man or woman, and you can, you have a talent to act, you have a talent to sing, talent to dance. Why not go Bollywood? You earn in crores, and this I have said, and that's why I said I don't hate Hindi. It's one of my language of this country, and I want our youth to learn it. Make sure that you exploit it to the fullest, because I worry that bearing maybe few smaller role here and there, we don't see our people in the mainstream industry. People from Africa, from Asia, from outside the Indian subcontinent, from US, from UK, they come and work in our movie industry. I don't see why we, being Meghalaya, how long it takes us to reach to Mumbai, maybe 3-4 hours at the most. But because they have all that, and I believe, this is what I have always realized, that our kids today, I'm talking about today, maybe my generation is gone, so I can't really say much about it. But the current generation has full of talents. They can sing well, they can dance well, they can act well, they are good in extempore, they are good in their academics, they are good, they can be good scientists, good engineers. Why we only restrict that they should look for government job or they should be scientists or doctors? Let them explore. Suppose somebody is born with the talent to be a good artist. Please go ahead. If somebody is born to be a sportsperson, my endeavor has been, and I have put it in one of my mission, that I will provide best possible training, whether it is nationally or if need be internationally, that those kids who are really having the potential to be medal winners, let's say in Asian Games, Commonwealth Game, or in Olympics, we don't give them that kind of training. Where will our kids get that kind of exposure? My priority will be that those kids who are not interested much in academics, but more interested in the sports, we will create world-class facility within our state, because we have money. It's just that we are lacking the willpower and the honesty, which I always say and I always stress, and that's why one of my very main agenda that I adopted is a zero tolerance policy on corruption and corrupt practices, which means if the public gives me a chance, I will show them by example. And I'm saying it not because I want to, media is present here and you will telecast it in the whole of the state of Meghalaya, but I'm saying it because I will set an example. I'll give you a very, very clear-cut message how it will work. Say, for example, I don't know how many of you have ever seen how MDC scheme, MLA scheme, or MP schemes being priced. I have already created a website in my name, which is www.lakhoncommand.com, LAKHONKMA.com. I will create one folder there if I'm elected to know from day one to the last day of the 5th year what all work I have done, what is the estimate, what is the actual cost, where is the UC, where is the photographs, where is the location. Nobody needs to file RTI in my regime. And this is what I'm saying. I cannot point fingers on all those who are existing politicians, because I come as a teacher of a university. If I don't show a new light, a new way of thinking, I think it's no point for me getting down in the field. I have come here not to really become a normal, ordinary politician. No. If it was necessary, I would have joined any party and then support any candidate or ask for a ticket. No. I have come here to show that if we think correctly, if we think like the current times, if we keep the aspiration of the youth in our mind, there is no way that we can't do better. And this I have to set an example, because I want that when the youth look at me, like today when I look at the politicians who are in existence, I don't see whom I will look up to. But I want the kids of today's generation, even the generation which will come, to look at me and say that this is how I want to be a politician who is clean, who is honest. I'm saying this is not that I'm saying honesty has to, I know honesty has become such an abusive word now that people don't believe when it comes to honesty. They say, no, everybody says that once they win, they will eat money. I'm saying it on your face, and you will play this again and again in your YouTube channel, that when we say honesty, it begins with me. I have to set an example that how public fund is utilized penny by penny for the welfare of the people. I have no right whatsoever to take even a single penny, because we are paid salary. That salary belongs to us. Everything else belongs to the public. But if I take all the money and then I become rich now suppose I am a candidate and I don't have anything. 5 years down the line, I will have multiple houses, now multiple cars, multiple flats, multiple land. Tell me, what kind of scheme is that? Tell us public that which kind of scheme you're investing, that in 5 years your income becomes 1,000 times higher. There is no such SIP, there is no such insurance scheme, there is no such investment that will kill. It means the politicians who are of today's time, I'm not blaming everyone. I'm very, very, very candid that I'm not generalizing, but by and large, most of them don't seem to be really bothered about the sorry state of affairs of our people. And hence, I have come with this determination that I stand for the poorest. I stand for the youth. I stand for the educated ones who are working day and night to make sure that they got good degrees, good higher grades. But after they get their degrees, where do they go? I see no scope whatsoever, and that's where I'm so much pain from inside as a teacher, because I've been seeing it over the years. Over the years, I've expressed it in my articles and so on and so forth. This is where I said that I got down with that hope. I'm not sure how far I'll be able to fulfill. But if people give me a chance, if they elect me as their MP, I will set an example for the entire state that this is how you're supposed to do politics. Politics is a serious business. You don't have to just get excited here and there because you listen to a song or a dance or somebody throw you a party. No. For me, politics, like academics, politics is also a serious business. And I take it with full seriousness. And that's why I'm leaving no stone unturned to try to reach to every nooks and corner. But I think you understand that as an independent candidate, I have my limitations. But I'm sure through your channel, through the media, this message will be passed on to every a free living citizen of this country and free living citizen of this state. Because I worry, and that's what I'm saying, I have two-pronged strategy here when I have decided to fight this election. One is, of course, to bring the all-round development in our state, which has to be through an honest way, whereby people can see what you are doing. Today, if you ask me, my MP, what he has done in the last 15 years, probably none of you will be able to say he has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nothing. In my time, from day one, like I said, you will find a list of it. You know exactly where things has been done. You can visit and tell me, this estimate is you have made for 10 lakhs, but look like you have spent only 2 lakhs. Then I will be at fault. And that's why I'm saying, because when I write article and when I express myself, I cannot be the one only blaming others. I have to also set an example. And that's what I'm saying. In my regime, if anything that public finds it is not worth the estimate that I've done, you come and tell me, once I'm your MP, that you have eaten public money. And I'm saying it not to just, send a wrong message here. I'm saying with full dedication and honesty that I will work like no one else have ever done. And this is what I'm saying. I want to set an example because I have a mission for next 15, 20 years. How exactly it will be panning out, that I will tell maybe after the election. But right now I have set my eyes very straight on the goal that if people put their faith in me, I will be able to do what needs to be done. More important, of course, is because you all know MP's job is in Delhi. Delhi is where you have to decide because, most of the time, all the rules, regulations that will be coming and the kind of act and that will be created in the floor of parliament. Like we have seen in case of CA, and I have very serious reservation with CA, but it got passed in 2019 and the rules have come out just before election, which have two issues. One, it is eating away all our job prospects. Already this country, this state has poor ratio of job seekers to the jobs that are available. You bring in foreigners from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh simply because they can say that we have been persecuted by Muslim people in that country. You are allowing influx and you are saying that they should be the one who have entered, let's say, before 31st of December 2014. What guarantee is there? Because they say you don't need travel document. How do we know somebody has entered yesterday and he certified that he gets a certificate from the country that I have been prosecuted? And he says, in this country, you can get a passport done within no time. Getting a fake ID of Afghanistan, Pakistan or Bangladesh is no big deal. We know it. I've seen many fake PhD degrees have been given. Thesis has been sold in many parts of this country. Getting a certificate, you all will agree that is not a big deal. So hence, I have serious observation. Number two is, we are actually compromising with the security of this country. Say, for example, a Muslim man, I'm not generalizing, but I'm saying, let's say a Muslim man who is a militant, staying in Afghanistan or Pakistan, or let's say Bangladesh, but Bangladesh is quite peaceful these days, so we will not worry much. But let's say from Afghanistan and Pakistan, he is a Muslim man who is a terrorist. Not all Muslims are terrorists, so let me make it very clear so that you don't quote me wrongly. But suppose a terrorist enters and he has bad motive against this country. He shaves his head, he cleans his beard, he puts a tikka here, he puts a saffron dress, and he says, I'm a Hindu. Allow me to enter your country. I have entered this country before 31st of December 2014. And he has an ID of Pakistan or Afghanistan or Bangladesh. How will you prove? There is no way, because it says you don't have to produce any travel document. Simply say that I have been prosecuted and you have an ID of that country. That's all. And both these are so flimsy that anybody can misuse. I'm worried that through this CAA, we might end up getting influx of terrorists in this country who will leak secret information from this country, pretending to be a Hindu, a Christian, a Sikh, a Jain or a Buddhist, because they are not allowing Muslims, so we leave them apart. They will say that we have been persecuted and they will pretend to be one. They will be in the disguise of having these religion and say that I am being prosecuted by Muslim brothers in these three countries, and hence he will be given citizenship. What guarantee is there that he will not leak all the secrets from this country? Because we know how this intel work as far as the terrorist network is concerned. I'm afraid that in this country, which is so, I worry because this country has a very loose kind of, network checkings that is done. You really can't trace each and every one because we are too many of our people. You go to Delhi, you go to Chandni Chowk, you go to, Palika Bazaar, you will not be able to identify who is who. And hence, in a country like ours, where the surveillance is so poor, you are allowing people to come from foreign country and they might be terrorists and they are compromising our integrity of this country, and I'm worried as a concern. And that's why when I say send me to the parliament, I want to be the one who will raise all these concerns. CA is one example. There can be n numbers of examples because I do see that in the current dispensation, the secularism is at stake. Because I don't like to see a government who is in the center or in the state trying to patronize a particular religion. This is a free country. I'm born in a country which got independence, and we got our constitution that says that India is a secular democratic republic. That secular is too dear to me. Come what may, I can't compromise with this secularism because this is my identity. I have I still remember how Gandhi have said. He said this is a country is for everyone. And if we start, and that's why the difference between us and Pakistan that people have to understand, they got independence one day before us. Look where Pakistan is, simply, and where we are. We have advanced in science and technology, and our reputation as a country is much better, but because we have chosen a line that this country will be inclusive of everyone. Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, Christians, Jain, everybody will have equal right. And hence we have thrived all these years. Suddenly I see that there is a threat. There is a threat perception on our secularism because the dispensation who is running this country seems to be bending towards one particular religion. I don't want to see our country to be Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. This is what I will always oppose, and that's why I want public to realize that send me to Delhi. I want to say this in front of Modi, in front of Shah, in front of everyone, that don't play around with the constitution because you are going to break the country into pieces if you try to play around with the constitution. As long as constitution is intact, we are all as one country, one citizen. We love our country because we love our constitution. The moment you play around with constitution, I have no doubt whatsoever that this country will break into pieces, and we will, and that's what I'm saying. I will make sure that I will raise my voice. Yes, being independent or being from a smaller party, you may not have much a say as far as the parliament is concerned, but I will be proud enough to say that I raise my concern. You may disagree with my view, but I don't have to come to Matran. I don't have to come in front of Secretariat and make halabaloo here. This is where I want to, that because our MP over the years have not really raised our concern. They have never raised in parliament why we are so poor. 52 years of statehood, why we are so backward in every sphere that I have been saying again and again. Every public meeting that I have gone, I have stressed this. There is no answer to why we are still poor, such a tiny state. Few hours you can cross the length and breadth of this state, but we are far, far behind many countries which are 10 times larger than us or 5 times larger than us, which means we have no direction whatsoever. The current state government that is being running the state and also the previous Congress government has never chalked a roadmap for us to really move ahead. And I want to change this. There has to be a paradigm shift. The paradigm shift has to be how we think about politics, how seriously we take it. This is a serious business, and I want to emphasize this again and again and again, maybe if need be 1,000 times. Politics is a serious business, and it has to be done seriously.
So you have expressed concern about CAA. So what is your stand on this long pending demand for ILP, which has gained momentum following the passing of the Citizenship Amendment Act?
Yeah, well, these are, the ILP is an old issue. Actually, I would say this issue would have died had government not given to Manipur in 2020. Simply they promised that you bring us to power, we'll give you ILP. Otherwise, before that, I'm sure none of us were having any doubt that ever will get ILP. But now, because they have played politics with ILP, I do see that the NGOs have every right. I think these student bodies has every right to demand, because the central government has played politics. But we know that ILP cannot be given by the state government. It is a matter with the central. And hence, I would say that this is a tricky issue because we don't want to just jump the bandwagon to say that yes, we want or yes, we don't want. I don't want to make this statement right now simply because we have to weigh the pros and cons. Mainly because Meghalaya being a transit state. How will you regulate people coming from Guwahati, going to the southern Assam, or people going to Tripura? How will you control these open channels that we have? In Mizoram, it was easy because it ends there. In Arunachal, it's easy because but in Manipur and Nagaland, of course, Nagaland has they have given it earlier. But in Manipur, they have played politics. Because they have played politics, this demand for ILP has come up. I would say that I will not jump into conclusion, but I will really measure it and try to take everybody on board to say, let's weigh the pros and cons. Because if it benefits our state, I'm all for it. If it doesn't benefit our state, I'm totally against it. Anything that comes good for our community as Meghalayan, I'm not single out any community. We are all Meghalayan. We are equal citizen of this beautiful state of ours. If it benefits Meghalaya, I'm all for it. If it is not in the interest of Meghalaya, every single rule, every single thing that the government passes from Delhi, I will be the one opposing it. But I will not oppose only for the sake of opposing it. If you give me a chance, I sit in the parliament, I will see what is benefit to us. Because as a smaller state, as a state that is dependent on the center for a lot of developmental activities, we also have to be mindful that unnecessarily we don't raise issues that can unnecessarily, invite anger of Delhi. We will fight what is the justified cause, but unnecessarily on issues which are flimsy, we will not touch upon, so that we work in harmony, because it is a federal system. There has to be a federal understanding between the state government, the state, and that of the central. I think as long as this is very, very cohesive, it is very, very friendly, I think it will benefit the state of Meghalaya, because we need a lot of fund for developmental projects in the state, because we have to really pick up our developmental activities has been snail paced. I want that we have to really move faster. In order to move faster, we need money. We don't have money in our state, more so because we are too much into the corrupt practices that half or maybe 2/3 of the money actually is going to somebody else coffer. Only maybe 1/3 or even less than that is left out for developmental activity. And that's why I have gone to villages across nooks and corners of all these 7 districts, and even in Garo Hills. Scenario is the same. That our roads 5 kilometers across the city you travel, you will know what is the scenario. Street lights, the question of street light doesn't even arise because there is no street light in the state. All the ministers, all the MLAs and the MPs, they have been traveling in India across the country and also abroad. They have seen how street light works there. I have stayed myself in America for almost 18 months. I have seen how it works, because there you don't care about from where water is coming. You don't care from where gas is coming. I stayed almost 18 months in a place called Milwaukee, which is 2 hours from Chicago. There is snowfall almost 8 months. Not a single day light went off. Here, simple lightning, you will see that how the city lightning is, the light is gone. Which means we don't have a robust system in place. And that's why I'm saying, it actually burdens my shoulder a little bit when I look around that too many things are actually needs to be rectified. From where we will start itself will become a big challenge. But yes, since we have taken this risk, we take it and we take it head on. There's no way that we will be able to we will ever shy away from facing. The only thing is, we have to tell Delhi that, see, we are a poor state. We need money. We need your support. Don't antagonize with us. We are a small community. You don't have to worry about a small community like us, say Khasi, Jatia or Garu or in the Meghalaya. We are a tiny community. We love our religion. We love to practice what is granted in our constitution. Why do you worry? I always say for example, I give you a very interesting example.